Hello everybody. My name is Ambria Lacey. Thank you all for attending this Zoom call. I'm sure most of you are business owners and you're wondering about this BOI information. So I am here to share this information regarding the BOI report. I know a lot of us have heard so many things about getting fined as business owners. So today I'm going to tell you everything that you need to know about the BOI report and how not to get fined as a business owner. Hey friend, it's Ambria Lacey, your tax strategist with iTax Solutions. Today I'm going to be sharing some valuable information with you. If you haven't already joined our amazing community, be sure to hit the subscribe button. You definitely don't want to miss what's ahead. Let's go! So give me just a moment. I am going to begin to share my screen. I have a presentation for you. And feel free, if you don't already have something to write with, grab something so that you can take some notes. And again, feel free to share this information. I am also going to share a video on my YouTube channel today or tomorrow, sometime within the next 24 hours on how you can actually do this report and file this report yourself. So I'm going to get through everything. And at the end, if you have any questions, be sure to you can put your question in the chat or you can unmute yourself and I'll do my best to answer your questions. So give me just a moment so that I can begin to share my screen. Okay. All right, so I want to make sure that y'all can also see me as well as my screen. Can y'all see me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, perfect. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, thank y'all so much for being here. This is for business owners and how to avoid the $10,000 fine to file your BOI report. So let's get into this. A brief disclaimer. This presentation is about BOI. This information is provided for informational purposes only. It's not intended to be legal advice or guidance and should not be construed as such. The information contained herein is intended to provide a general overview of BOI concepts and requirements. It is important to remember that BOI regulations are complex and subject to change. If you have any questions or concern about BOI, you should always consult with a qualified legal professional to ensure you are complying with all applicable laws and regulations. So here's just a little bit about me. I am recently Dr. Ambria Lacey. I do have my master's in business. I'm the owner of iTax Solutions, owner of iTax Institute, CFO at the Tax Coalition, a certified Main Street Tax Pro, as well as a Forbes BLK member. So we're going to go ahead and get into this. Here are just some objectives in the presentation that I'm going to cover today. What is BOI reporting? Why business owners have to file the BOI report? Who's required to file? Who is exempt? When are the reporting deadlines? What information must be reported? Where to file the report? And what if your information changes? So let's get started. What is BOI? So BOI stands for Beneficial Ownership Information. In 2021, Congress enacted the Corporate Transparency Act. This law creates a beneficial ownership information reporting requirement as part of the U.S. government's effort to make it harder for bad actors to hide or benefit from their ill-gotten gains through shell companies or other opaque structures. So for instance, of course, y'all know there is a lot of fraud that, happens in the United States. And so the Corporate Transparency Act, this is to kind of try to cut back on, people making money illegally and not reporting this information. So here are just some of the illegal activities that this act is looking to kind of minimize: financing of terrorism, money laundering, tax fraud, proliferation, financing, human trafficking, securities and financial fraud, acts of foreign corruption, piracy, counterfeiting, and drug trafficking. So the new federal reporting requirement for beneficial ownership information. So beginning on January 1st, 2024, many companies in the United States will have to report information about the beneficial owners, i.e. the individuals who ultimately own or control the company. They will have to report this information to FinCEN, okay? So if you have an LLC, right, and you registered your business with the Secretary of State, and your business is still active, it's important that as a business owner, even if you have not, sometimes, this is what we'll do. We'll say, okay, I have this great idea. I want to start this business. And, sometimes life happens, right? So even if that is the case, you still want to make sure that your business is active and you file this FinCEN report, okay? So the website for FinCEN is www.fincen.gov. So once we complete this presentation and you know everything that you need to know about FinCEN and you're ready to file your report for your business or help other individuals out, this is the website that you need to go to, okay? fincen.gov. So the reporting rule requires certain entities to file beneficial ownership information reports to FinCEN. Reports contain information about the entity itself in two categories of individuals: beneficial owners and company applicants. A beneficial owner is an individual who owns or controls at least 25% of a company or has substantial control over the company. So for instance, if you started a business by yourself and if you are listed as the only individual on that LLC, right, with your Secretary of State, then you control at least 25%. Now, well, of course, at that point, you control 100%. But if you also have partners as well, the partners are also considered beneficial owners. So I just kind of want to reiterate that you need to have at least 25% of control over the company. A company applicant is an individual who directly files or is primarily responsible for the filing of the document that creates or registers the company. So you can be the beneficial owner and the company applicant, okay? So who's a beneficial owner? An individual might be a beneficial owner through substantial control, ownership, interest, or both. Reporting companies are not required to report the reason that an individual is a beneficial owner. A reporting company can have multiple beneficial owners. FinCEN expects that every reporting company will be substantially controlled by one or more individuals, and therefore that every reporting company will be able to identify and report at least one beneficial owner to FinCEN. So basically what they're saying is, sometimes people, I'll watch several movies, right? And sometimes you'll see like these drug dealers and, they're filtering this money through like a laundromat or like a hair salon or, something like that, right? So basically what FinCEN is saying is like, hey, if you have this business, somebody has to take full responsibility for financial control over this business, so that if something happens, we know, okay, well, we can come after this person. You said that you are the beneficial owner of this business, so you have substantial control. So that means that you should know what's going on and we're going to hold you liable. So who has substantial control? Reporting companies are required to identify all individuals who exercise substantial control over the company. There's no limit to the number of individuals who can be reported for exercising substantial control. An individual exercises substantial control over a reporting company if the individual meets any of four criteria. A senior officer, the individual has authority to appoint or remove certain officers or a majority of directors of the reporting company. The individual is an important decision maker, or the individual has any other form of substantial control over the reporting company. So let's break these down a little bit. So a senior officer is any individual holding a position or exercising the authority of this could be a president, a CFO, a general counsel, a CEO, COO, or any other officer, regardless of the official title, who performs a similar function as these officers. So basically, if you're running stuff, you're a senior officer, you have substantial control, right? If you're running things, you're making decisions, you have substantial control of the company. Appointment or removal authority, which is any individual with the ability to appoint or remove any senior officer or a majority of the board of directors or a similar body. So if you have substantial control within a company if you're able to say who can stay and who goes, or if you're part of the board of directors. So next, important decision makers. Any individual who directs, determines, or has substantial influence over important decisions made by the reporting company, including decisions regarding the reporting company's business, such as nature, scope, and attributes to of the business, the selection or termination of business lines or ventures or geographic focus, the entry into or termination or the fulfillment or non-fulfillment of significant contracts, finances such as sales, lease, mortgage, or other transfer of any principal assets, major expenditures or investments, issuances of an equity, incurrence of any significant debt, or approval of the operating budget, compensation schemes, and incentive programs for senior officers. And the reason why they have to really break this stuff down so much is because, there are always those people who kind of want to find that gray area of things like, well, wait a second, no, maybe I really don't have substantial control and you don't have to report my information because I don't do this, or this, right? So that's why they're so intricate and detailed going over who actually has substantial control. So number 3, structures such as reorganization, dissolution, or merger amendments of any substantial governance documents of the reporting company, including the articles of incorporation or similar formation documents, bylaws, and significant policies or procedures. Here, catch-all, any other form of substantial control over the reporting company. Control exercised in new and unique ways can still be substantial. For example, flexible corporate structures may have different indicators of control than the indicators included here. Now, most of us, I would say, are small business owners. Again, it's really pretty simple who the beneficial owners are, as far as anybody who has more than 25% control over the company and people who are making decisions, right? So who has to report? Companies required to report are called reporting companies. Reporting companies may have to obtain information from their beneficial owners and report that information to FinCEN. The reporting rule requires that all reporting companies file BOI reports with FinCEN within the previously specified timeframes. A reporting company is any entity that meets the reporting company definition and does not qualify for an exemption. So that's basically our businesses, right? There are 2 categories of reporting companies: a domestic reporting company and a foreign reporting company. Okay. Oh, there it is. So your company may be a reporting company and needs to report information about its beneficial owners if your company is a corporation or a limited liability company or was otherwise created in the United States by filing a document with the Secretary of State or any similar office under law of a state or Indian tribe. Now, if you have a DBA or you're a sole proprietor, right? Your business is technically not registered with the Secretary of State, right? So I will say this. I think that if you're in doubt, it's always okay to still go ahead and file a BOI report. Like, you can't get fined for filing one and not needing to file one, but technically this is for businesses that are registered with the Secretary of State. And a lot of times what you can do is you can call your Secretary of State, or you can go on their website and you can make sure that your company is still active. So if you're like, wait a second, I started this LLC, 2 or 3 years ago, I'm not sure if I need to do this or not, you can always reach out to your Secretary of State and see if that business is active. A foreign company and was registered to do business in any U.S. state or Indian tribe by such a filing. Most of us have domestic limited liability companies. So here's just an overview of companies and where they're created, whether it is a U.S. company or it's considered a foreign company. Most of us are U.S. So next question, who does not have to report? There are 23 types of entities that are exempt from filing this beneficial ownership information report, right? So these entities include publicly traded companies, nonprofits, and certain large operating companies. So by law, a large operating company is a business that is considered to have more than 20 full-time employees and they gross over $5 million. So here are the different entities that are actually exempt. Securities reporting issuer, governmental authority, bank, credit unions, depository, institution holding companies, money services businesses, broker, dealer in securities, security exchange or clearing agency. A lot of these companies have to report on like higher levels than this BOI reporting with FinCEN, probably also to FinCEN, but because they are more in the financial space, they have a higher authority or like more reporting requirements that they have to meet. So it's not as simple as them filing a BOI report. So those are those 23 entities that are exempt. When do I need to file a BOI report? Now, this is what's really important, right? So if you haven't already been taking notes, this is definitely when you want to make sure that you're taking notes. So again, the reporting started on January 1st, 2024. I think I filed my BOI report for one of my companies like the next day. I want to say maybe the second or the third. Because I was like, you know what? I was so excited for the portal to open. I'm like, whoa, we've been talking about this. I got to make sure that I understand everything that's going on so that I can share it with each and every single one of you. So here's what's important. Reporting companies created or registered to do business before January 1st, 2024 will have until January 1st, 2025 to file their initial BOI report. Okay. So what that means is that if your LLC was registered with your Secretary of State, right, before January 1st, 2024, what they're doing is they're giving you approximately 1 year to file that initial report. Okay. So if you've already been in business before January 1st, you have until January 1st, 2025 to file this report. Now, of course, I would recommend that you go ahead and become proactive and get it out of the way so that you don't have to worry about this, right? But you do have 1 year to file it, okay? So I guess it's kind of like they kind of grandfathered us in. So they're like, all right, we're going to give you a year to get this done. Now, if you decide to create a business after January 1st, 2024, but between January 1st, 2024 and December 31st, 2024, right? If you start a business, if you get your company registered with your Secretary of State, you only have 90 calendar days from that day to file your BOI report. Okay. So if you start the business from January 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2024, you only have 90 calendar days. And y'all heard 90 calendar days, not 90 business days, but 90 calendar days. So exactly 90 days from the day that Secretary of State issues you those articles, then you have 90 days. All right. So make sure you're aware of that. All right. So in the event that you start a business or, you have a reporting company that's registered with your Secretary of State on or after January 1st, 2025, they're saying you got 30 days. 30 days. If you start your business anytime after January 1st, 2025, you will have approximately 30 calendar days to get this report filed. So I encourage you, if you already have a business, go ahead and get it done. If you decide that you want to start another business, right, y'all, this is really a simple report. It's really not as difficult as I thought it was going to be. I thought that it was going to be like pages and pages and pages and just a lot of stuff, but it is really not difficult. I promise you, each and every single one of you can do this for yourself and again, help others as well, right? So 30 days. If you start your company after January 1st, 2025, there will be 30 calendar days that you have to report this information. So what if my company does not report BOI in the required time frame? Of course, there will be penalties. There will be fees. That's what's really important, and we want to avoid that, right? So the willful failure to report complete or update beneficial ownership information to FinCEN or the willful provision of or attempt to provide false or fraudulent BOI information may result in a civil or criminal penalty, including civil penalties up to $500 for each day that the violation continues, or criminal penalties including imprisonment for up to 2 years and a fine of up to $10,000. That is ridiculous, right? That's a lot. That is a lot. I don't want anybody that is retaining this information to get these penalties imposed on them. This is just, I mean, it's really, really a lot. Up to $10,000, $500 a day. Like, they are really serious about this. So we got to make sure we take this seriously and get this stuff out the way. So senior officers of an entity that fails to file a required BOI report may be held accountable for that failure. So basically what they're saying is you can't blame it on anybody else. Providing false or fraudulent beneficial ownership information could include providing false identifying information about an individual identified in a BOI report, such as by providing a copy of a fraudulent identifying document. Additionally, a person may be subject to civil and/or criminal penalties for willfully causing a company not to file a required BOI report or to report incomplete or false beneficial ownership information to FinCEN. So basically, make sure you're reporting the right information to FinCEN about, the beneficial owners as well as the business. And it's really, really simple. And again, when in doubt, file a BOI report. If you're not sure, again, you can go to your Secretary of State and that information is there. When you started that LLC, when you file those documents, if your business is active or if it's not active, right? So make sure you research that information for yourself and determine if you need to file a BOI report. But again, you get fined for it if you don't do it, but they're not giving a fine if you do it and you don't actually need to report. So what information do you need in order to file this BOI report? Okay. So for the reporting company, you need the full legal business name, right? Again, you can obtain this information from your Secretary of State or they are listed on your articles, okay? Any trade name or DBA. So for instance, for iTax Solutions, the full legal business name is iTax Solutions, right? I didn't use any like DBAs, but sometimes people may have, I think for instance, when I started Lacey Financial Advisors, I had a DBA, I had a credit repair company back in the day. And so a DBA that I had was Restore Your 3 Scores. So if you have any DBAs, right, what you want to make sure that you do is you list every single one of those DBAs, all right? Business address, as well as the business EIN number, okay? So in the event that you cannot locate your EIN number, right? It happens. I've had to call the Internal Revenue Services to obtain a copy of my EIN number because maybe a financial institution needed it for something or for whatever reason, right? So if you cannot locate your business EIN number, you do not have to get another one, right? What you can do is you can contact the Internal Revenue Services. You go to irs.gov, you click on employer identification number, and there's the FAQ section where it will tell you in the event that you misplaced your EIN number, you can actually call them, right? You may be on hold about 20 minutes, but you can actually call them and you'll have to give them some identifying information. They'll probably I think they ask you for like your name, your social, of course, the business name, maybe the most recent business address, right? So make sure you have that information. Now, what they will do is this. You have 2 ways to obtain the information. I have a virtual fax. So what they will do is they will fax the EIN document to you. You just have to verify that you're in front of a fax machine. Or what they will do is they will mail the document to you again, right? So of course, if you need it, I would say, if you can get somebody's fax number or something like that, then just have a fax number ready to go and get that information faxed and you'll have it immediately, okay? For beneficial owner and the company applicant, of course, your full legal name, date of birth, your residential address, and an unexpired identifying document such as a US passport, a state driver's license, or a state ID. So I think what I did was I just simply took a picture of the front of my driver's license and then I uploaded it. So that's important. This is all the information that you need, right? All of this is simple information. We should all have access to all of this. And if you don't, and you need some type of help with it, feel free to shoot us an email and we'll do our best to help you. And again, I'll be answering questions at the end of this presentation. Now, You can create a FinCEN identifier. This number is optional. I didn't create one. I just kind of went on the website and I did my report rather quickly. But you can get a FinCEN identifier. But again, this is optional. You don't have to do this. And this is basically a unique identifying number that FinCEN will issue to an individual or reporting company upon request after the individual or reporting company provides certain information to FinCEN. An individual or reporting company is not required to obtain a FinCEN identifier. An individual or reporting company may only receive one FinCEN identifier, and your company may include FinCEN identifiers on its BOI report instead of certain required information about beneficial owners or company applicants. So basically, all of this information here, this beneficial owner and company applicant information. So if you have multiple companies, right? And when you go and complete this report, basically what the FinCEN identifier number is if you don't want to enter your name, enter your date of birth, enter your residential address, and upload a copy of your ID every single time that you have to do this for for a different business or a different company, then you can basically just get this free FinCEN identifier. And it's kind of like I guess kind of like a social security number or something like that, that identifies exactly who you are. And all you have to do is put that FinCEN identifier number in there instead of all of your information for each and every single company. So reporting changes. If there are any changes to the required information about your company or its beneficial owners in a BOI report that your company filed, your company must file an updated BOI report no later than 30 days after the date on which the change occurred. So the same 30-day timeline applies to changes in information submitted by an individual in order to obtain a FinCEN identifier. A reporting company is not required to file an updated report for any changes to previously reported personal information about a company applicant. So let's just kind of basically break that down. So in the event that you need to make some changes, maybe you registered a new DBA, there was a change in beneficial owners, maybe you went from owning the company yourself to now you have partners, or maybe some partners are no longer part of the organization. If you need to make any changes like that, for instance, right, if your name or your address changes, right, y'all, they are going so deep into this. When I read about it, they basically said, like, if you move, right, if your home address changes, you need to update this information. Now, the good thing about it, it's free. It's not like we have to pay for any of this. Or let's just say, for instance, if you get married and your last name changes, or you get divorced and your last name changes, however that may go, right? You have to report this information within 30 days. All right. So also it says new image of identifying document. So y'all know sometimes, like, well, not sometimes, but at some point your driver's license or your passport is going to expire, right? So I think mine is good until like 2029. So in the event that I lose that driver's license and I have to get another one issued, basically what they're saying is that you need to send us a copy of your new image of your driver's license or your passport or your state ID. Okay. Right. So they're going deep into it, but this is simple information. I mean, it doesn't take long to go in there and update this information. So now we're going to talk about the inaccuracies in a report. If an inaccuracy is identified in a BOI report that your company filed, the company must correct it no later than 30 days after the date your company became aware of the inaccuracy or had reason to know of it. I'm not sure if I mentioned this on the last slide, but even if your business, I think also, like, if your business address changes as well, then you also need to update this information on the BOI report. So this includes any inaccuracy in the required information provided about your company, its beneficial owners, or its company applicants. The same 30-day timeline applies to inaccuracies in information submitted by an individual in order to obtain a FinCEN identifier. Note, there are no penalties for filing an inaccurate BOI report provided it is corrected within 90 calendar days of when it is filed, or when it was filed. So we'll see. I'm pretty sure more information will kind of develop. Today is January 16th. So we're only about 2 weeks into this BOI reporting, but there are millions and millions of businesses that are going to be affected by this information. So, you know, about this reporting information. So again, it's really, really important that you spread this information and get this done for yourself. It is really, really simple. This, I want to say it took me less than 10 minutes to complete the report. And the reason why it took me so long is because I was literally reading every single screen and like every single fine print of everything. But this is what the actual submission, once you complete your report, this is what you'll get, right? So it gives you an identifying BOI reporting ID, which I blacked that out, a tracking number. It lets you know when you've completed this, which it looks like I completed this on January 2nd, and who actually completed it, right? So what I do recommend is that you take a screenshot of this, right? Or once you complete your own report, and also download your transcript, right? Because again, this is something new that we've never done before. So you want to make sure you have receipts and records that you did complete this report in a timely manner in the event that something ever happens. You know, I mean, the website could like go crazy. You never know the type of world that we live in these days, but make sure that you get this submission status confirmation. And because each and every single one of you attended this today, what I decided to do is I have a complete walkthrough video that will be on my YouTube channel, so that you can literally have the video up and you can complete your BOI report yourself. Again, I definitely think that this is stuff that each and every single one of you can do yourself. Now, in the event that you say, you know what, Ambria, it's too much, I just want you to do it, then you can always contact our office, you know, and we will, you know, get this report filed for you. But I definitely encourage you to complete this yourself. Like I said, y'all, it's like it takes less than 10 minutes. It's really, really simple. As long as you have all of your information for your company, and go ahead and, you know, take a picture of your ID, whatever identifying documents you're going to have on your phone, and just have the front of that ready to go so that you can upload. And I do recommend that you do it on your computer, right? I don't really think this is something that I would recommend doing on a mobile device. So if you have a computer, if you have like a tablet, but I don't think that I would complete it on my phone. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and open up the floor for any questions that you all may have about this reporting. So feel free to drop your questions in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and ask your questions. Y'all got questions? I hope I covered everything. But again, if I didn't, feel free to unmute yourself and ask your questions.
Good morning. How are you? This is Benita.
Hi, Benita. How are you?
Now, I did hear you say if you have multiple companies, you can get the ID and it would be, you wouldn't have to repeat yourself.
Correct.
Okay. I do want to do it. Thank you.
No problem.
Ambria. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Once you do this filing of this BOI, do you have to ever do it again? Or is it this something yearly that has to be done?
So actually, they haven't specified if it's going to be something annual or this is like a forever thing, because that was kind of one of my questions too. I'm like, okay, are y'all telling us we have to do this every single year? But I think once you do it, that's pretty much it. But that's why they're stressing the deadline so much, or the changes so much. Like, okay, well, hey, you know, if this changes, you need to report this to us within this amount of time. But they're basically just kind of giving us the penalty if we don't file it. So I'm thinking that in the coming months, and as the year goes on and they kind of see what happens with all of this stuff, you know, there'll be more information. So I'll make sure, you know, I keep y'all updated, because that's, for instance, if you started a company on January 3rd, right? Right now you still have, you know, time to report it. So they're not really kind of giving us, you know, all the information, but it's a start. So
Okay.
yes, ma'am.
All
Thank
right,
you so
thank
much,
you.
Ms. Catherine, for being here.
All right, thank you.
No
I
problem.
did have a question, but you actually answered it. So
Okay.
That was me that interrupted you earlier.
No, no problem, no problem. Any other questions about anything? Y'all make sure y'all go to the FinCEN website and check it out. I'm actually going to share my screen really quick, but again, if y'all go to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel, the video is going to be there. I'm going to share my screen so that you can see this. So this is the FinCEN website, right? And so it gives you all of this information about FinCEN. And honestly, a lot of us probably really haven't heard much about FinCEN until they started talking about the BOI report, right? You're like, wait a minute, FinCEN, what's going on? So here are just some questions that they have to like how you want to prepare. You can go over here, you can subscribe for updates on the FinCEN website. Honestly, I'm not really sure if I'll ever need to visit the FinCEN website again outside of this BOI reporting. But here, this is where you actually go to actually file the report, okay? And when you click on file, let's see, there are going to be two different options to file the report. Either you can file it as a or you can complete a PDF and then you can upload it, which who has time for that? We're not doing that, right? We're just here to get this done. And again, the steps that I've already completed for you will show you how to go through all of this step by step. I click on this option here. It gives you some small little like warnings and stuff like that that you want to make sure that you read over. And again, y'all, it takes less than 10 minutes. So if you can go ahead and get it completed, you know, tonight or tomorrow or something, make it a goal to get this done before the end of the week. If you want to continue to do, you know, more research about it, then that's perfectly fine, right? I always encourage you know, everybody to do their own research, and they have like a little FAQ section. If you want to subscribe to FinCEN updates, you're more than welcome to do that. But it's really pretty simple. It really, really is. I hope this was informative for each and every single one of you. And I really do thank y'all so much for being here. Can anybody think of any other questions?
What's the name of your YouTube channel?
I think it's just my name. I know it's on my story right now. So I literally, I don't have a lot on there, but I think it's actually my name. Yeah, I think it's just like Ambria Lacey. Yeah. Thank y'all so much for being here.
Thank you for the info.
No problem. And again, if
Thank you.
y'all have any additional questions or you think of anything, you can always shoot us an email, support@itaxsolutions.us, or you can call our office, 817-640-3068, or you can just inbox me as well. So again, thank y'all so much for being here. I really enjoyed seeing y'all today. And whenever there are any additional updates about BOI, I'll, you know, host something similar to this free of charge, share it with your friends, family members, coworkers, business partners, whoever you need to share it with.
Hi, Ambria.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Ashley. All right. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mhm.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
If you found today's video helpful, make sure you give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe for more valuable information. Be sure to stay connected with us on social media for the latest tax updates and exclusive content.